Alright, let's do this. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Brad from Cariboo Hart TV here, bringing you episode number 3. Alright, so how's everybody doing today? So I thought we'd do things a little bit different today. I'm filming this first thing in the morning. The whole house is sleeping here. It's about the only time I can find a bit of quiet space to be able to not have kids running around and screaming and dogs barking and cats fighting and all that good stuff. So we'll see how it goes and go from there. So before we get into this, can I talk sports a little? Does anybody mind if I talk a little bit of sports? I'm one of those guys. I can't live without my sports. I don't know about you guys, but do we have any baseball fans out there? Now, I'm a huge Blue Jays fan, and big deal for us this year. We made it to the playoffs. It's a little bit farther than most people thought we'd make it. Before the whole COVID thing happened and the season got shut down and shortened there, I'd already predicted that we would finish above 500 and we'd be in the wild card race. And well, hey, we made it to the wild card round. And a lot of people didn't think we'd make it that far. But the team that took us out, the Tampa Bay Rays, last night they eliminated the cheating ass Houston Astros. And so the Tampa Bay Rays will be moving on to the World Series. Normally, I can't stand the Rays. They just whoop my Blue Jays' asses every time, it seems. But in this case, we got the cheating ass Astros that they whooped there. So we're going to go and go Rays. Good for them. And also last night, the Dodgers beat the Braves to force Game 7. Now, I'm also a Dodgers fan. When you're a Blue Jays fan, you get used to a lot of losing seasons, let's face it. So you got to have backup teams, right? It's also like the Raiders. I'm a big Raiders fan, and they've had more losing seasons than winning seasons in my lifetime. So you get some backup teams, and the Dodgers are one of my backup teams. In the NL, they are my favorite NL team. Now, so coming into the playoffs, I was like, yeah, this is going to be the Dodgers' year, I think. And they're doing really good. And then they met the Braves here in the NLCS. Tell you the truth, the Braves are playing like a team that wants to go to the World Series. The Dodgers, they're starting to come back a little bit, and thankfully they're bringing it back to Game 7. But I think they've got a tough one against the Braves tonight. But we're going to see how that goes. I've got my fingers crossed. Go Dodgers. We'll see how that one works out. Next, do we have any fight fans over there? Did anybody check out the fights last night? So, pretty decent card. I don't know if anybody else has been noticing, but UFC's been knocking it out of the park with their cards for the most part since this whole COVID thing's been happening. So many sports leagues, their ratings have been in the dumpster, and the UFC is just killing it. So, shout out to them. Anyways, in the undercard there, we had Said Nurmagomedov. I don't know if he's Khabib's brother or cousin or whatever. I'm guessing there is going to be a family relation there. He had a pretty quick, decisive victory there in the prelims. Other than that, we had Jessica Andrade. She TKO Caitlin Chukagan. Nice victory. Brian Ortega, very decisive, unanimous victory over the Korean Zombie. I was hoping for somebody to go to sleep in that fight, but you know how it is. People don't always go to sleep. Overall, pretty good card. I'm excited about next weekend's card. That's the Khabib versus Justin Gaethje fight, and on that one, like Khabib, he's probably gonna take Justin down and take away that striking. But I got a feeling I'm gonna pull for Gaethje on this one. I may be wrong, but that's going to be my horse in this one. And then also you got Robert Whittaker versus Jared Cannonier. That should be a killer fight. I'm a Robert Whittaker fan, though. I've been watching him for years, and I gotta hope that he pulls it off to force a second fight with Israel Adesanya. Other than that, we've got some NFL action today, but my Raiders are on a bye, so I really don't care. I'm going to find something else to do. All right, now that we've got some sports covered, I think it's time to give a few shout outs here. So we're going to start off with a great big shout out to Caribou Garden Supply. Brandon, Vicky, Mike, Rick, you guys are great down there. I appreciate everything you guys do to help me out every time I go down there with my stupid questions. We've got Reisenberg's Rosin Bags. Got to give a huge shout out to them. We've made a few rosin press videos. It's always been Reisenberg's rosin bags that we use. Reisenberg's rosin bags, Reisenberg's rosin bags. Dude, say that 10 times real fast. That's a bit of a tongue twister, isn't that one? Anyways, Reisenberg's rosin bags. We use them every time. Huge shout out to those guys. And also, I'd like to say that just over the weekend here, we are just before the weekend started, we had frost hit in the area, so we had to cut down our outdoor plants that we had outside, and I think we're gonna press most of that into rosin. So I've already done a little bit of rosin pressing on that today, and using Rosenberg's bags, of course, as I've said, and so I can also say to Rick and Mike, it looks like I'll be able to come and give you guys a little bit of a rosin sample a little bit sooner than we thought. And of course, as I said before, we live in Canada where it is perfectly legal to give cannabis away to your friends. All right, so Rick and Mike, it looks like I'll be able to hook you guys up with a bit of a rosin sample earlier. It's not the aquaponic samples that I was talking about on the last show, but they'll be coming a little sooner, and maybe I'll come hit you guys up again once the aquaponic table is done. All right, next up, we got to give a shout out to Microbial Mass. Now, I've been using them on the entirety of the aquaponic table grow and a few of my other plants, and it's been making a difference. The bacteria strains in the Microbial Mass, they help make more bioavailable the phosphorus, calcium, iron for my plants, keep my ladies strong and healthy. Next shout out we're gonna do is for the Michael Jordan here. Now, this is a new product that we've been using on a few of our plants. It's another mycorrhizal. Blah, blah, blah. Can't even talk here. It's too early. Maybe I need another shot of coffee here. Got my lucky Aerosmith mug on the go here. A few of you that know me well know that I don't go too far without my lucky Aerosmith mug. I've had that thing around for a lot of years. Before I got tongue twisted there, Michael Jordan is a mycorrhizal microbial inoculant, and comes in a powdered form. You can make a bit of a slurry with it. We've been feeding that to our OG Kush plants that we've got going on, as well as our Chem 4s, our Chem 91s, our Charlotte's Web, and that Amherst Diesel. You know, those plants I was talking about on the last show that really weren't doing too well. And then the poor things got hit with a frickin' blown ballast for a few days of no direct light at all. Well, I am pleased to announce that with a little help from Michael Jordan to get those mycorrhizal fungi going, we've seen a bit of an improvement over the course of the last week, thankfully. And within another week, they should be almost about back to new. All right, so now that we've taken care of a few very good friends of ours, let's talk about what we've got going on in the grow room. So, yesterday morning, I went into our aquaponics room and got hit with a massive shock. All of our fish were dead. Uh, I'm not exactly sure what happened, but every single one of the fish in the aquaponic room was dead. We'd had some of those fish for quite a few years. One of them was, probably a little over a foot long, and like about like that wide. I'd say probably at least a 2 pound koi fish, belly up with four of the others. My best guess is that we may be overwatered and something from the soil got in and was toxic to the fish. Uh, but even that, I don't fully understand because uh, we're not using any really crazy amendments in there and haven't done any top dressing or anything like that um, since before the flip, actually. So I would have thought that if the odds of I just would have thought that if it is water toxicity and something that we've added and fucked up, that it would have killed the fish before now. So that's a really shitty way to kick off our weekend around here. Um, so we weren't sure what to do. So the aquaponic table is within a few weeks of being done, and it's a little early to cut it now, but we just leave it? Weren't really sure, so what I decided to do is just we drained the fish pond reservoir to get that water out of there because we don't know what's going on with it. Refilled the reservoir, and then so we added some higher potassium amendments so that we can hopefully keep a bit of a bloom phase going on. We threw some IMOs in there, and we just or with some worm castings and also some mushroom compost to keep that microbial action alive. And we'll probably end up cutting that table down next weekend. So it's really too bad. And then it's back to the drawing board because we're not done with aquaponics yet by any means. It's just a really, really, really crappy turn of events. And it's back to the drawing board. So I got to do some more researching. I got to get the water tested to see if they can tell us if there's something that was way out of line. One of the things also, the first thing I could do for myself to check the water was pH test it. We usually like to keep the pH in our aquaponics tank at around 6.6, 6.8, in and around there. But when I pH'd it, it was actually closer to like 4.6. So something didn't happen. There's a major drop in our pH. Yeah, I'm just really not sure what happened. I'm really bummed out though. But we're gonna keep at it, and because we're definitely we love the results we've seen with the aquaponics so far. Next up is the tale of two blown batches of oil in a row that we've done around here. So last weekend we were making some edible oil, and we had it on the stove doing the double boiler action as sit there throughout the day doing its thing. And then the wife decided it was a good idea to fry up some chicken and pork chops and didn't move the oil far enough away. And I come up and I look at I was like, oh my god, I think there's probably getting some grease splats in there. So I move it away. Kind of, oh, hopefully it's not as bad as I thought it was. And then once she was done cooking supper, we throw it back on the double boiler and let it finish doing its thing. And when it was done, you could look at it and it looked like a freaking tiger. There's orange and black streaks all through it, and it's just like it's like, well, for fuck's sakes. But it is what it is, mistakes happen, and it's just what are you gonna do about it, right? You kind of laugh it off. It's funny after you get rid of the initial, well, that sucks feeling. So yesterday morning, I went to go make that honey oil, and I took that Chemdog Afghani F2 bud, and I threw it in a mason jar and filled it up with some ethyl alcohol, or filled it up with some Everclear, and guys let it soak and do its thing. And after a bit, I had the duh moment where I was like, "Oh, you didn't decarb that first, you dumb son of a bitch." So it was like 2 weekends in a row, two batches of fucked up edible oil. What are you gonna do but kick yourself in the ass and laugh about it? Not much you can do at this point. So yeah, that's my blonde moment for the last little while. So with the white, so what else do we have on the agenda for this weekend? The White Widow Afghani F1s. Those are in 3 gallon pots, and they're getting flipped to the 12-12 cycle. So we're gonna start looking for males and females in there and doing our little bit of pheno hunting. I found one male plant already before they even went into the bloom phase, so that was the number 3 phenotype, I believe. So we're gonna pull that one out, and it's not even gonna make its way into the bloom room because we already know about that one, and we're probably just gonna kill it. I don't want to be breeding with something that's already showing what looks like autoflower traits before it even goes into the bloom. Now, I know I'm working on auto flowering breeding projects, and we'll get to more of that here in just a bit. But for right now, this is the photo period pheno hunt I'm looking for, and it's not showing. And those are autoflower traits it's showing, so we want to get rid of that. It's not welcome in our project that we got going on. The next batch that we got coming up, it's looking like it's going to be a mix of slurricane and super silver hazes. So that should be pretty interesting. I think we've got about I don't know how many plants we got. It's that's just what the next batch is going to be, and then we've got a bunch of clones and seedlings that are in solo cups that need to get upped into 1 gallon pots, and so we've got the doing the pheno hunting for finished projects that we got. We're doing a bit of pheno hunting in that aquaponics table because we got 3 different phenotypes of mango. I think it's 2 different phenotypes of OG Kush, and then a bunch of different meathead stuff we got going on. So we want to look and see what we got going through there. And so we've got the clones. We cut off all those before we flipped them into the bloom there. We got those coming up. So it's a bit of a pheno hunt going on in there, and just picking and choosing, see what we like. As then, that's about what we've got going on for stuff that needs to get done. Just a whole bunch of transplanting and upsizing the pots. We'll talk a little bit about the breeding projects that we got going on. So I was just talking about what we're doing with the White Widow Afghanis. Those are just getting flipped this weekend, and we can start some actual pheno hunting to see, get an idea of what the finished product looks like. And as I said, I'm looking for males and females off of those. Now, next we got the OG Kush. We're so excited about these OG Kush because the bud we're getting from these people is just insane. And I was under the impression that they were growing by seeds, but I've actually heard rumor that they're growing by they're growing by clones. So for if that's the case, then that would have to mean that any seeds I'm getting out of them are hermaphroditic or intersex, which I don't like that at all. So we're gonna have to be very cautious about doing anything going forward with this OG Kush, and very strongly considering abandoning any projects altogether with that. But I figure we've come this far with them, we're gonna at least watch them. Even if we might end up just having to bloom them in a different area to make sure that they can't possibly pass on any intersex traits to anything else. As some of you know, I've had a plant or two go intersex on me in the last couple crops. I suspect it was either the Alaskan Thunderfuck or the Ghost Train Haze. Uh, we're done with those, although as soon as we'll be done with those as soon as the aquaponics table is done. We did have a couple that got thrown in there, and I'm so sick of dealing with hermaphrodites after having that pop up, that it's not traits that I want, and it's fucking up my buds that there should not be having seeds in them. Remember, so yeah, I think a good chance that as I ramble on here, what I'm getting at is the OG Kush is we might end up flowering that out in a different area and just watching it. And then moving on, as a lot of you know, Autoflowers. Big interest to me because I do fully believe that autoflowering plants, they are the future of outdoor growing for colder climates. I'm looking out my window right now, and I'm guessing there's at least 2-3 inches of snow out there. It's a good thing we cut down our outdoor plants a few days ago, right? Whereas, so had we not done that, there's a good chance, and we cut them down a week or two early, knowing that the snow was going to fly here, and so they are a little bit premature. Now, had we gone with the autoflower route, we probably could have got 2 crops in over the course of the summer and had them finish off well before now, and could have avoided the cold weather problem altogether. So that's what I believe autoflowers bring to the table, is in this area, you are not guaranteed that your photoperiod plants will make it all the way until they finish. With autoflowers, you can they don't. There's no flip required. They do it all on their own genetic timeline, and they usually finish within about 90 to 120 days from seed. So it's just easy, simple, and for an inexperienced grower that doesn't really know much, you think about it. It really is just throw seeds in the ground and add water. It, it's simple. So for the autoflowers, anyways, we've got some ChemDog Auto on the go. We got a couple Skittles autoflowers. We got 3 critical mass autoflowers, and we want to play with some pollen on those and see what we can come up with. So we're hoping we get a nice smell out of that White Widow Afghani. And then before we did that, a couple months ago, we germinated some Violator autos. But we've got the one plant has got to be over 3 feet, probably at least 3.5 feet tall now, and shows no sign of flipping. And it's probably about 2.5 months old. We've got another one that's about half as tall as that. That's about 2 weeks younger than it is, and it's not showing any signs of flipping either. So what I think would be really cool is that maybe the company we got the seeds from messed up and they sent us Violator photo periods instead of autos. That would be all right. So I think we're gonna probably transplant the taller of them into a bigger pot, cut some clones off of it, and throw it into a bloom room and just see what happens. And then after that, we've got an Exodus cheese auto that is finally starting to show us some hairs, and it was a really stunted run to the litter. But I think we're the other 2 seeds that came in that batch, they didn't germinate, so this is the only one in a pack of 3 seeds. We've got some ChemDog Afghani F2 pollen left over from that last batch I did. So I think we might just throw that on there and see what we get, and maybe that's going to be the beginning of our future autoflower line of genetics that we're going to be playing with here. All right, moving on. What else do we got going on? So we got some good news. So if you listen to last week's podcast, you'll remember me talking about I had that blown ballast, and that we had some sickly looking plants that were under that blown ballast that I figure went probably 2-3 days without direct light, and they just actually ended up looking worse than they did before we transplanted them. And I'm pleased to announce that they are starting to look better. So we had some Chem 91s, some Chem 4, some Amherst Diesel, and Charlotte's Web, and all of those are looking better. So uh, things are looking positive. Pretty happy about all that. And I think as soon as we get a few open, I think as soon as we can open up a few 20-gallon pots, I think we're going to transplant those in there to finish off their days. Is because we've got some silver haze, wedding cake, and some slurricanes growing on right now that'll be finished up here before too long. So I think what we'll end up doing is just cutting the root mound out, a plug big enough that you can stuff a 3-gallon plant in there, and do a little bit of no-till 20-gallon pot farming there. So I've had 2 semi-failed attempts at breeding here. We tried those grapefruit genetics that I had made up a few years ago. We tried those in the last couple months. Didn't find anything we cared for in there, although it did make some really good rosin. And then the ChemDog Afghani F2s, they're just nothing insanely good there that we wanted to carry forward. So we just kind of, there's just nothing good enough in there. There's nothing. So I consider that a bit of a failing there. But when I did the F1s from the ChemDog Afghanis, I was getting some 12-gram dried buds. Now, to maybe a more experienced grower, 12-gram dried buds, maybe that ain't nothing. But for me, that's still a big deal. You're looking at that's just about half ounce buds. And I've not seen anything even remotely close to that in that F2 generation. So we're thinking about germinating the last of these. These are the F1 seeds from the ChemDog Afghani project that I started. Now that is my very first attempt at breeding so far, and it's also my best attempt, I would say. And I was mentioning I was thinking about bringing these back to try them out again. And because of the bud size, I mentioned that to my buddy Jason there, and he was even saying, "Oh yeah, man, I remember when you were growing that. Like that was some good stuff." So maybe we'll give that a shot and see what happens there. And once again, do a little bit of male pheno hunting, male and female pheno hunting. Uh, the goal with that one would be to see if maybe we can find something a little bit closer to the original ChemDog strains in there. And then we could also, one of the things when I was growing some of those is we were getting a lot of those just, those single cola plants were nice skinny like that. Maybe we cut a couple clones off of something like that and just grow baseball bats. That would be pretty interesting as well. So I think that could be next up for future projects. I would like to get to it sooner than later, but to be honest, we just don't really have the space for that kind of thing at the moment. So that might have to wait till after Christmas or maybe even spring. Although patience is not one of my virtues, so that probably might happen before either of those things more realistically. So maybe you guys could hit me up in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Should I do the ChemDog Afghani F1s? Should I maybe do the Durban Poison Afghani F1s? Or is there a different project you'd like to see me work on? Hit me up. We're looking to always try and make this a bit more of an interactive experience. I would love to get a little bit of viewer interaction. Hit me up in the comment section. Or you can hit us up on Instagram, Cariboo Hart Organics on Instagram. Or if you'd rather, you can always email your questions to caribooheartorganics@gmail.com. So I think before we wrap this up, I should give another shout out to you, the viewers, for watching this show. I've been sending these videos out to people and asking for feedback, and for the most part, the feedback's been pretty positive. As I've been always the first one to say, there's obviously a lot of room for improvement, but I think the concept behind what we're doing is fairly strong, and it's just like anything, it gets better with time as you get more used to it, more comfortable with it. I'm usually one of those people that just kind of sits at the back and doesn't really say much. Not comfortable being the not usually comfortable being the center of attention. They usually like to hang back a bit. Uh, so just sitting here, running off in the mouth talking to you guys. I was a little bit unsure as how it would come across, but like I said, feedback so far seems to be pretty positive. So thank you everybody for watching, and thanks for the feedback, and definitely keep it coming. If there's anything different you'd like to see about the show, once again, hit us up in the comment section, or you can drop us an email. Once again, that's caribooheartorganics@gmail.com. You can see us on Instagram at Cariboo Hart Organics on Instagram. And if you're watching this, you're already watching our YouTube channel, Cariboo Hart Organics, and we thank you very much. If you dig what we're doing around here, hit like and subscribe, and don't be afraid to share this with your friends. See if we can get a bit more of a following going on. I figure maybe if we can get up to 100 subscribers, maybe I'll try and start up a Patreon page and see if we can offer in a little bit more content out there. But I think when I was looking at the channel earlier, I've got 18 subscribers, which is pretty cool. I actually thought it was closer to like a dozen, so I was off by almost 50%, right? That's pretty cool. So let's see if we can get it up to 20 subscribers, and then from there we'll go to 25, 30, and hopefully we can get up to 100 subs. And once we get there, I'll maybe start up a Patreon page, see what we can do with that. So yeah, then once we get up to 100 subscribers, maybe we're talking about starting up a Patreon page, and then we can start doing giveaways. Uh, as you know, we were starting to grow our own genetics. And the wife likes to make her own creams, salves. She's just talking a couple minutes ago about trying to make her own chapsticks and stuff like that. I don't think we can give away any of that kind of stuff off the YouTube channel, but once we get the Patreon page going on, I think that is a different story. Before I go, I wanted to show you some of the rosin we were pressing. Um, so this is what I was up to this morning. I'm not sure if I should try and get closer with that or not. Ah, yeah. Sorry guys, I'm a horrible cameraman. But so that's that we've been pressing that, and as I said before, we use Reisenberg's rosin bags for that. So thanks, and then another big shout out to Reisenberg's rosin bags. We appreciate you guys. All right, so here's a sample shot of the rosin here. Give you an idea what that looks like. Of course, the camera keeps unfocusing. Alright, doesn't look like I'm going to get a good shot of it in this light. So anyways, this rosin there that I'm attempting, and very poorly attempting I might add, to show you here. This is these are our outdoor plants that some of you have seen pictures of. So for those outdoor plants, we had, I believe it was 2 OG Kush and 3 hash plant that we just kind of threw in the ground and forgot about, really. And then all of a sudden it became like September, and we're looking at them and like, holy crap, those are starting to grow some decent sized buds on them, and actually started paying attention. So we cut those down there a couple days ago, and we don't know which is which. We think we have an idea, but we don't know for sure. So we're just kind of mixing those buds up together and pressing most of them down into rosin. I've had a couple sampled I've had a couple sample dabs already, and it's pretty enjoyable, I must say. I'm digging it. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up for today. I've got a busy schedule, a lot of stuff to do, and kids are starting to wake up, which means it's no longer going to be quiet around here for very long. And besides, I've got a lot more rosin to press actually, so it's going to be some good times. I think I got my pal Murray's going to come over here, and he's going to help press a bit of rosin, I think, and smoke a few joints, and yeah. Anyways, before I keep rambling on about nothing, I just better just shut her down. So I hope everybody has a great weekend. I hope everybody enjoys the football games today. Uh, Go Dodgers. Hopefully we can take the Braves out, but I'm not really expecting that to be the case. The Braves have been playing like they want to go to the World Series, and the Dodgers have been playing good kind of once in a while sort of thing. So, but that being said, go Dodgers. Everybody have a great rest of your weekend. Everybody have a great week. And man, yeah, it's time to shut her down. So I'll talk to you guys later, and we'll be back hopefully next week with another episode of Cariboo Hart TV. And until then, sayonara.